page for said updates to breaking news, shorts, and videos, and also follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. This latest content is coming out of Texas pertaining to a shooting at Wilmer Hutchins High School in Dallas, Texas. CBS News is the source. Thank you for joining me.
This is from overnight, an important update on the shooting at Wilmer Hutchins High School. Just a few hours ago, the suspected shooter turned himself in. Yeah, this is a following. You can see the aerial footage from the aftermath of that shooting yesterday. Lacey Beasley joining us live. And Lacey, we know that 3 students were shot, another injured in that shooting on campus. What's the latest, and especially in light of the fact that the shooter has now turned him, or the alleged shooter has now turned himself in?
Carmen and Madison, we're just now learning the name of that suspected shooter, 17-year-old Tracy Haynes. The Dallas Morning News report said he turned himself in with the help of an organization called Urban Specialists, and they advocate against violence. Apparently, a family member called their helpline. Now, here's some video of Haynes surrendering last night in Dallas. Video was taken by Smash to Topic and shared online shows officers cuffing the suspect. Dallas ISD confirmed that the suspect was arrested but did not share any additional details. He's charged with aggravated assault, mass shooting, and is in jail on a $600,000 bond. Now, it's important to note, Dallas ISD police tell us this was a student-on-student shooting, not an intruder. You can imagine the chaos and fear here at Wilmer Hutchins High less than 24 hours ago. Take a listen to some students and parents' reactions shortly after the gunfire.
I heard like 6 shots, and then the teacher ran to the door and closed it and told us to hide in the corner.
He told me they had a shooting at the school for me to go up there. So I just jumped up out of the van.
You can see hundreds of people running across the lawn in panic. According to police, 4 boys were hurt in the shooting. 3 of the 4 were hit with gunfire. The Dallas Fire Department says injuries range in severity from non-life-threatening to serious. We also know the high school does have metal detectors, which every student should pass through at the beginning of each school day. Though during Tuesday evening's press conference, DISD Assistant Police Chief Christina Smith says this was not a failure of safety protocol, and the gun got in somehow another way.
Gun did not come through during regular intake time, so it was not a failure of our staff, of our protocols, or of the machinery that we have.
The district says there will be no class here through the end of the week, and there will be mental health experts for students and staff who need them. Carmen, Madison.
All right, Lacey, a story with a lot of moving parts. We're going to be on top of all of those continuing details later today and throughout the morning, so you can find the latest coverage on CBS News Texas.
All right, CBS News Texas, if you need verification pertaining to this story. So we have a lot of questions, and we're going to try to chop them all up during this live stream. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are having a wonderful week. Check out my movie suggestion confession for this week's movie. Okay. Trying to get a pic of him turning himself in. Okay. This is Tracy Haynes, 17 years of age, African-American male. Number 1, what is the motive? Who turned him in? Mom, dad? There was a search of a home. Hours later, an 8-hour search by police looking for him. This Urban Specialists organization, they are a nonviolence group, and they are a relative called, I guess, this group to aid in him turning himself in safely, which he did by the grace of God. Who was the relative that turned him in? Whose house was it that they searched outside of Dallas, Texas? The house that they searched, what were they looking for? What led them to that house? Any information? Once again, what is the motive? All males that were shot. Why? Altercation, jealousy, rivalry, smart comment. I also believe I heard that he had another altercation with someone involving some type of violence. What was that altercation about? This is the second shooting at this school within 1 year, which is not good. Once again, what is the motive? Why did he shoot at these students? We learned from the assistant chief of police that this was not a failure by man, that this was not a mechanical failure, that the machines were working where the children entered the school. Where there's a problem is that word is out that someone opened the door and allowed him in. So that means he has to have an accomplice. Because if I messaged you, text you, called you and said, hey, I need you to come to door A, B, C, D, open it up for me, wouldn't I be questioning why I'm entering that door? So that means you can't get in from the outside. So how many doors are locked from the outside and then you can't get in? How many doors do they have total to the school? Because naturally, if they have different parts of the campus where you walk outside to another building, that means you have to be able to enter that building. So we have to ask about all outbuildings and the doors. Or did this person let him in? Who is that person? How cool are they? Must be good friends. So that means somebody else had to have known that he was going to do something. Did he tell anybody at the school or friends, associates, relatives that he was going to take a gun to school and shoot the students? Where I have a problem is the assistant chief saying this was not a mechanical. Someone still let him into the school, into a door where he brought the gun in, and that person should have been suspicious. So now I have to ask once again, did he tell that person he was going to do something? Will there be another arrest? Stay woke, everybody. The fact you have shooting number 2 under your belt is not good. The problem is children. Children don't know how to deal with their problems. And then they end up becoming adults that don't know how to deal with their problems. As we've heard, coping mechanisms. Don't know how to talk, don't know how to relay their emotions, their feelings, so they act out, they pop off. Pop off by the mouth, pop off by the hand. And perhaps that's what happened here. And if he shot them intentionally, which most are going to say that he did, then he had a problem with them. What was the problem? Don't know. Our culture, our environment, as I said, hurt people hurt people. Dr. Phil's famous words. Don't know what was going on with this young man. Don't know what other troubles he has been in. I heard that he had some other type of altercation before with someone. When I get an update to that information, I'll bring it to you. But this is a sad tragedy because he has his whole life ahead of him. And instead of him trying to work out his differences with these persons, he decided to bring a gun into the school. And this is a problem. And the assistant chief sitting up here acting like it's no big. It's not the machine fault. Well, guess what? We got information that the incident from last year was somebody's fault. Somebody didn't check a certain male's book bag when they went through the machine and the machine beeped. So I'm trying to understand, if I go through the machine and it beeps, shouldn't somebody be making me turn around, take off my shoes, hold my arms up, open my bag, my parcels? So why didn't the person check their bag last year? So to now have a new situation, a new year, and say, oh, well, it wasn't nothing mechanical. It doesn't matter. Because it looked like to me you're 2-0 with man-made issues. Last year was a man's problem, woman's problem. They didn't check the person's book bag and they brought a gun into school. This year's the same thing. Somebody opened a door and allowed this 17-year-old Tracy Haynes to enter in with malice on his heart. By the grace of God, no one died. Serious injuries, but not life-threatening. Critical, amen. I believe one boy was shot in the leg. Maybe he was just trying to make a statement, but in the end, it doesn't matter because when you go before a court, Texas judge probably is not going to care because you shot more than one person. And God forbid, as I said, one had died. It'd be a whole other ball game. But either way, he still shot more than one person. It still does not look good. What is going on in the life of this young man? What type of troubles was he having? Does he have any mental problems, any mental disabilities? Are we going to hear he's bipolar, autistic? Because we hear that a lot. And it's not to poke fun or make light of anyone autistic or bipolar, but it just seems like we always hear that. They're bipolar, they're autistic, borderline personality, or he doesn't have anything wrong with him. He's just mad. Mad at the world, angry. What is his home life like? Mother, father? Who's raising him? Any allegations of abuse against him? Persons in his home, children? How many siblings does he have? Is he the only child? As I said, is he developmentally delayed? The courses he takes in school, are they regular courses or IE courses? Is he excelling well in his class? What does his grades look like? See, a lot of questions we don't have the answers to. But when I get that information, I will bring it to you pertaining to his home life, grades, school, any other altercations, problems, gun violence, any other type of weapons used, fights. When I get that information, I'll bring it to you. But the one thing the chief needs to understand, the superintendent of schools need to understand, you all are the problems. You all are the problem. Because you can't control a person's mindset. You have to make the school safe proof. That means every building, cameras in the buildings, entry points, exit points. Because as I said, a lot of schools have outbuildings. And that means anybody could just walk up and make their way into the school or into any of these outbuildings and lie in wait to assault, sexual assault, and whatever else. And that's where we have the problem. Entering into the main lobby doesn't mean anything if a person has access to enter another building where they can just walk straight in. And then they're onto the campus. And then they can exit another exit or entry to another part of the main building where there's nobody checking the kids. And naturally, with the kids going in between classes, having 5-6 minutes to get to class, who's going to be checking all these kids running in and out of exit buildings, exits and entries? That's where there's going to be a problem. Not enough staff, not enough machines at every entry point, exit point. That's where there's a problem. Having machines and having someone to stand there, check you in. And do you know how time consuming that would be in between classes? And the kids are in school 7-8 hours a day? It would be a problem. Because there's just no way you could stand there and check all those kids in between classes. And that's where your problem's going to be, is the exiting and entry points of the buildings. And I don't know how they're going to be able to solve that problem. Because as I said, in between classes, it would take forever to check every student running in and out of buildings through doors in between classes. And you'll probably have this problem again. Either by a student, a staff member, or it'll be an outsider. When I get an update to this Tracy Haynes, what was his malfunction, his motive, I'll bring it to you. Will he speak? Will he talk? Will he plead it out? Will the state accept the plea? And what will the punishment be by the judge? I guess we have to wait for all the factors to see what was going on in the head of this kid, what his past has been like, if he's been in trouble before. But he's in the state of Texas, he'll probably get the bang. Black kid too, he'll probably be in prison. He'll probably get an adult sentence because he is almost an adult. Don't know when he'll be turning 18, but he's almost an adult. And I'm assuming a Texas judge will view him as that. You acted as an adult. You're almost a legal citizen of age, and you knew better. That's my commentary, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below this video. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie 129 Cash App. Weigh in, leave your comments below. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what punishment you think this student should get. 20 years, 30, 40? Should he have a chance at freedom? If he's autistic or depressed, bipolar, should that matter? Weigh in. Leave your thoughts. I may even put up a poll pertaining to this subject matter. Once again, Gene and Betsy Hackman have been laid to rest. They had a private memorial service in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which exacted by Gene's adult children. So they all have finally, I guess, gotten together to decedents. We also learned that Betsy had been checking online for her symptoms, dizziness, nosebleeds, and sadly she could have lived had she had kept her doctor's appointment and sought treatment. They would have discovered she had the hantavirus and she possibly could be alive today. But what is so sad about that story is the Body cam footage by police of their home in disarray, the outside broken up concrete pathways, rodent activity in the outbuildings, in the cars, garages, guest house. It's a tragedy. And it looks like she was mobile and aware of her faculties. She was 30 some years younger than Mr. Hackman, but I don't think she had a grasp of the situation that was going on with the activity and naturally sweeping, vacuuming. That's how you get in contact and how you can get infected with the virus. And they needed help. They needed a caregiver for Mr. Hackman, and they needed a maid or maid service because frankly the house was too big. And as you see the way that bathroom looked where she passed away, it was a disarray, nothing but bath towels, mats, dog beds in there, which is very strange to me. Dog beds all throughout the house, paper, books, just all kind of stuff piled up, countertops full. They needed help. They needed help. Frankly, they needed a smaller place because as you get older, you don't need that much space to roam around. And you can see in one of the living spaces, it looked like maybe one of them was sleeping on the sofa in one of the living rooms. So it's a tragic end. And my commentary pertaining to that story is that people need to stay in contact with somebody. Somebody needs to have access to your house. You need to be talking to people, calling people. People need to know what you got going on, doctor's visits, health-related issues, so they can check on you. Because these two died alone with a dog dead in a cage and one beside the owner. They can't talk. They can't tell anybody what's going on. Rodent activity in other parts of the houses and cars. It's just a terrible way to go. And the children hadn't talked to him in months. And as I said before, everybody has everybody don't get along. Some people like being to themselves. But what you need to think of is a worst case scenario. And the way that Hackman's passed away is tragic. She's dead, then he dies alone. He can't feed himself because he can't remember to even feed himself because he has dementia and a heart problem. And he was lucky to live as long as so it was a blessing to live at almost 100 years of age. But in the end, when you saw the state of the house, the outside, the information about the rodent activity, they were in over their heads. And they said the house was low risk, but it would have only been a matter of time that the rodents probably would have made their way inside of the house. Because it don't take much for those pests to find their way inside of a house. Once they're on the property, they'll get in your house. So prayers to the family. But those two have been laid to rest. Once again, she searched her symptoms online before passing away. And that video body cam has been released to the public. And also Kelly Bryant has attended court, the dirty mom out of Pontiac, Michigan, pertaining to leaving her 3 kids in a condo. And she went to court. And basically her lawyer's trying to get her bond reduced. I think they're wanting $50,000 cash. She doesn't have the money. My thing is, well, you should have thought about that when you were getting all that money from the government. $30,000 in tow, owing the government for welfare fraud. You stopped paying rent on that condo and left your kids in a trash-filled fecal matter apartment. You should have been taking care of your kids. And then you sit there looking sad at the end of the video with the lawyers and the judge. But you put yourself in that situation. I do not feel sorry for Kelly Bryant. She deserves to be there. And that's exactly how I feel about that. And Kelly Bryant and this case here out of Texas. And also my last update is pertaining to the Connecticut victim. He has spoken. He wants to thank the public for helping him get out of that home on his journey. He's doing well. I pray for him because his last time in school was the 4th grade. So naturally, he has a lot of learning to do. And, they say he's a pretty smart person, but he's 32 years of age now. I believe he just had a birthday party. So he's feeling good. He's in good spirits, and I'm praying he's in good hands, and I'm praying that the money that's been raised for him will go to good use, and that he will not be taken advantage of by anybody else, because that would be the worst case scenario for him to go back into the lion's den with somebody else using and abusing him. Because now that there's funding for him, you still have to be careful who's going to be in control of that funding and giving him the money to get on his feet, get him a place. And see, we don't even know if he's able to even be alone and live on his own in an apartment or a house. I hope he is. I pray that he gets counseling and the needed care to guide him on his journey. As for Kimberly Sullivan, they need to throw her under the bus, throw her under the jail. She knew what she was doing. She rode the ride with his father. The siblings, they're guilty too. And anybody that deals with them right now, they're guilty because they knew that that man was living in that house with that woman. And I just believe he stayed out of fear. He stayed out of fear. And we question people even when they're grown. Why don't they leave? Why don't they run? Stockholm syndrome. You get used to being there. It's a mindset. And like they always say, you don't know until you put that shoe on. So I don't know what it's like. But he was an adult and he still stayed. But one day he decided he wanted to be free, so he set the room on fire. And now he's free. That's the latest, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. You have been listening to the Vault XL.